Hello, this is Lisa Luciard here in Texas. I wanted to tell you that this is an emergency. I noticed on the news, because I haven't been watching the news that much because I've been working on a project for America, but I wanted to tell you I was so shocked that our beautiful Beyonce was supporting Kamala, because Beyonce doesn't realize we would never be able to buy the tickets for her shows and her events if we didn't have a free America. And we are in big danger right now of America in every way. They're not looking at the truth about the list of things that they're overlooking, that the open borders. Do you know in Texas, in Spicewood, Texas, and all over Texas, in each nation in all countries, there's issues with drugs, but particularly in America, they opened up the borders, and all the prisoners from all the different countries, as President Trump said, are in our country, in America. And Beyonce, I love Beyonce in her work. And some of the things I disagree that she does, but I pray that she comes to God, Beyonce, to the God of Abraham. She is so gifted, and many people buy her tickets, but she doesn't realize we won't have money to buy tickets if we have issues that are listed of high inflation, and we have all the prisoners and all the criminals from all over the countries. We have the highest crime rate right now, just like President Trump said, and all the borders are open. But let me get to the most important point, is that they're opening small kitchens making drugs in every state. And they're using American citizens and American citizens of little kids and children, and also immigrants. They're using the immigrants. They're using the immigrants they brought in. Plus, there's human trafficking. They have businesses of human trafficking of kids and children, and they're abusing them. This is very serious. They're overlooking all the list of things. They're in my book. I have a Rise to God's Truth and our need to give to the world. My name's Lisa Luciard, in a new book called God First, America, Our Miracle. Our miracle is going to be in God, not in these musicians that make their own ideas. They cannot make their own ideas. And our beautiful Taylor Swift, she's also a beautiful woman. You can't deny they do have gifts, but they need to serve God, not their own ideas. How could she get up there when she doesn't realize the seriousness? And do you know when they stopped the oil wells, 140,000 people lost their jobs, but that was just in the first tier. But all the people they hired, they couldn't use as employees. And they couldn't write up the leases for the oil wells, and they couldn't do the scraps for the oil wells. They lost so much business, and many people in Texas, and that's from where our beautiful Beyonce is from, and all over the states. Think about it. Do you know that they had to stop the oil wells? Many people lost their small businesses of oil wells. When Kamala and Biden got in, you don't listen to these things, brothers and sisters. And with the open borders, going back to the open borders, do you know they're opening up the kitchens, I'll repeat, of small drug kitchens everywhere, and they're using drugs for manufacturing of little businesses to make money. Think about it, how this is terrible. And then also Iran, we have problems with Iran. ISIS could have come in. We know CCP people are in for the offices set up. We know that already. We know we have EMFs. Why didn't she spend time on the EMFs? Correct? Why didn't she spend time on EMFs and the chemical spray that they have for the people? And why didn't she spend time, Beyonce? I want to ask you, because I really respect your work, but I don't respect some of the things that happen where the children see. But why didn't she help the inner cities? Correct? The inner cities, why didn't the inner cities get helped? Many of those are black. Those are my brothers and sisters. I went to school with the blacks. Why? Why didn't they help those first? There was many. And even that beautiful lady named Jackson stood up in the courthouse in Chicago and says, why didn't you help us? It's like the Pharaoh is taking over. This is very serious in putting the people in America in slavery. I've listed list of things. You can look in my book. It's called God First, America, Our Miracle. Because we have actually a covenant called the Continental Congress of 1774, covenant of prayer. Did you know that? Before we took over in 1776, we have a covenant in America, the Judeo-Christian covenant. We cannot get away from that. And just like Mari Emanuel, if you don't believe in me because I'm a woman, Mari Emanuel, he even said that we have problems because we're not following God first, the God of Abraham in Jesus Christ. Our America is dedicated to that. That's how we've always been. So there's list of things that we have problems with. Many problems. The borders, and what happened to all the children? 500,000, I says, they don't know where they're misplaced and they're assessed wrong. We don't know what foster homes they're in. They're not interviewed. I heard President Trump that said there was 375,000. There's different numbers. But by the time in the next couple weeks, it could be 500,000. This is very serious. There's many things that they should have worked on. What about they couldn't negotiate with Putin? He wanted to close up in 2022. And Hurricane had no choice. I believe Zelensky had no choice because they wanted to keep the war America under the Democratic Party. Because they have commodities. They have the highest commodities in harvest of their land in Hurricane. We need to stop the war. And did you see that? Kamala wants to do war with Russia. You need to negotiate with Russia. He's a negotiator, Russia. And you better be careful because why did he come to Cuba and stayed there for a little while? And that's why I went to Puerto Rico and begged and stood out and spoke, saying we need to protect the borders. And thank God we have DeSantis because he's trying to protect his borders and he got them to work on the submarines, the large submarine. Everything needs to be protected. Your sister worked on that. I told them to make small submarines and fix the large submarines and update it. You don't know, I'm a geopolitical specialist and I help with military ideas and I'm a political analyst. I call myself a politician in science and philosophy. I've worked on it for many years. You could look my work up. But this is very serious. This is very serious. The borders are open. ISIS is in. And I believe there's small armies set up that are from other countries that could start anytime. We have to pray for everything and everybody. And the immigrants, they've been used as a human psychological shield. That's what Hamas did. They used the Palestinians as a human war shield to get their way, to start trouble of evil. And Netanyahu had no other choice. He's been a savior to Europe and the world that wants a free world. He had no other choice. He had to protect his country. And Hamas was wrong. They went in wrong. They shouldn't negotiate. They have to be obsolete. They used Palestinians as a human shield, psychological human shield. And they had protesters that were protesting all over the United States because they had a fine-tooth comb of training to organize that problem because of the elite communists that want to ruin our country and bring it down. And that's what they did. It's relative to bring those immigrants in as victims, to bring them in, to use them as a human shield of a political ideology, to decide to try to take America. Just like Elon Musk said, that they're thinking of the future so they'll get the Democratic vote. But the immigrants, they have to think smart. Why would they want the Democratic Party. When the Democratic Party ever is in power, each state always has a worse economical level than the Republican states always have a better safety and economical success. This is known. And even when Republicans are in our country in leadership, our country does better, safety and economically, even in the beginning, when the Republicans were in. So why immigrants? You should never vote Democratic, never. You'll be worse off. They'll make us a third world country. You won't even have jobs. And they'll make you slavery. Just like she said. Is this true, Kamala said? Because I don't listen to all the news, only in parts and pieces, some of it, because I'm doing projects for solutions and empowerment for the people that are in the leadership. On the stage, your sister is a guide and a political analyst and a director for the great leaders, Lisa Luciarden. So I don't watch all the news. Is it true she said the American dream is gone? No, we cannot have the American dream is gone. But the immigrants, if they're going to stay here, we got to get those commodities with their countries and work together in businesses. Every country has commodities that need to be assessed and need to be brought up and used. Every country is self-sufficient. The commodities just have to be developed. And businesses, and we could do this. There's lists and lists of things I can name that are a problem. If Kamala and Biden get in, Kamala doesn't have the ability to do negotiation internationally. And did you know they don't talk about it? I don't know why they keep it a secret. When they stopped the oil wells was the worst thing. Sullivan, one of the leaders in the Democratic Party, gave money to the Iran. And that's how Iran started. And then Iran makes their own oil and Iran gives money for the war. And then they gave money for Venezuela and they let all the Venezuelans in and took the apartments of the people. That's terrible. How would she like if her home was lost and her family? These are generations and generations of time. And you know what? Candace, that beautiful Candace also, she mentions this, that there's a problem, a question about Kamala's grandmother. That's really not her grandmother, and she gave the wrong timing. And I know there's some problems. And I said months ago that you couldn't trust Kamala. There's fabrications. She fabricated. And then another thing, they made immunity to millions of people, giving immunity to immigrants with asylum immunity without anybody knowing, giving them citizenships. So I tell you, immigrants, you'll see me, Lisa Luciarden, because many of the immigrants are my friends, because they know I care about them. We need to make solutions. You do not want to vote Democratic for the future. Just like Elon Musk said, they want to bring the immigrants in, so they'll vote Democratic. You won't have a home. They won't be able to make money. They'll control you. There won't be gardening jobs because they'll want to put you all in apartment complexes. And many of the jobs that you could do are being taken over by robots. They want to use you as a voting position and also use you, immigrants, to start trouble and take away the monies of the people that work legacy of years and years of work that are your ancestors. And they'll do the same to you if you vote Democrat. This is terrible.